up, y'all? It's your girl Sang, and today we're actually going to be reacting to a debate from Vice, and it is titled Anti and Pro-Feminists Debate Abortion, Trans Rights, and hashtag Me Too. Now, the only reason I really want to watch this is because I saw Pearly Things. If y'all know who that is, that's another big YouTuber. I love her content. And she was in one of the clips I saw because this came out like a day or two ago. So we have to sit down and watch this together. This is kind of long. It says it's 43. Well, we're just going to say it's 44 minutes long. So this is definitely about to get split up into some parts. Okay. So once you see something end, usually I drop 3 videos a day. If I need to, if it ends up being that long, if it anything past 3 parts, I will drop all of the parts in one day for you guys. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Yo, wait.
Should we mark this bad boy at all?
Y'all see this person right here where my mouse is, where I keep circling? That is a man. That is Eli Ehrlich. And he literally, I kid y'all not, he admitted online to a drug smuggling ring where he sends drugs to minors. Basically, if you're a minor and you want to get hormone pills and therapy because you want to go through the trans thing and your parents just said no or doctors are not giving it to you, he and another person are part of this whole big ring where they will send their unused medication out to people. Now, if you know anything about medication and why this is dangerous on so many levels, because first off, the parents don't even know, but even just from a medicinal standpoint, the whole reason you're not supposed to share medication with people is because you don't know what that's going to do to their body. Just because something may work a certain way in you, it may not work a certain way in somebody else, and that can cause problems, including death. And this person right here admitted to it. And trust me, Matt Walsh done already got on this guy. He done let the authorities know. It's like nobody cares. I don't even understand why he's sitting here. He's not a woman. He's not a woman at all. Vice, we already on the wrong foot.
Oh my goodness.
We already on the wrong foot.
Hi, welcome everybody. I'm Liz Landers. I'm Vice News' chief political correspondent, and we are here today to talk about some of the biggest issues dividing women across the country. In other words, we're here to talk about feminism. First, I just want to say we know we can't represent everybody's views, but we did try our best to bring together a diverse group of women today. In today's polarized world, is feminism dead? I saw your hand.
I think that depends on the definition of feminism.
How can you even speak? You're a man. You a whole man. You don't know nothing about being a woman. All right. Let me stop and let me play
I
it.
strongly think that feminism is more of an action than an identity. I would say it's uplifting all women, in which case it's very alive. At the same time, if we do follow that definition, feminism has splintered off into so many different areas that you can look at people like Sheryl Sandberg who say you should just get another nanny if you feel oppressed. And if we're talking about that kind of feminism, yeah, it's pretty dead.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the human race exists, feminism will never be dead. There's something that we're always going to have to strive and work towards to make sure that there's equality. So feminism is not dead.
I don't know that it can die. As long as there's power and oppression, there will be people fighting for equity. And until then.
What are we oppressed from? What are we oppressed from? Just like they'll probably tell
that
us.
Somehow goes away, feminism is alive and well.
I think feminism isn't actually about equality. It's about equality when it benefits us. I think feminism is really about women wanting special privileges and treatment at the expense of men often. And I think it's alive and well, sadly.
I think feminism is also alive and well. There are different kinds of feminism, right? Like, that is obvious. And for me, as a womanist, as a Black feminist, right, as someone who's really thinking about human rights, dignity, right, equity, right, as long as that need isn't met, we're still gonna keep fighting.
I'd say it's alive and well. I'd say that it's also very nuanced, and I think what it looks like is going to differ depending on where you are in the world. For me, I just see it as a lens, which isn't necessarily antagonistic or protagonistic. It's just a useful tool.
Similar to what Pearl just said,
Is Jordan...
I find that a lot of feminist ideology and thought today feels more of like a supremacist movement rather than something that is supposed to be advancing the goals of equality. I don't think that we can really term what's going on as feminism because it looks so different to, I think, the earlier feminist movement. So in that way, I would say it's taken its last breaths of life. It's dying.
Yeah, I definitely think it's getting more and more radicalized, for sure. So it's definitely still alive.
I think I'll preface and say that I don't know so much about modern Western feminism, and there might be a lot of terms that I don't know, like political jargon and stuff.
Hold on, you don't understand modern Western feminism? Didn't it say you were from New York? Yeah, it did. She must not have been in New York long to say something like that. That's the only thing I could think of.
But I believe in the advancement of women, whoever considers themselves a woman. I think there's a deficiency in society, so it's deeply...
Whoever considers themselves a woman. You mean a woman that was born a woman? What are we talking about? The men on the panel or the guy on the panel, like, that's not a woman, that's a guy.
Rooted that feminism has always existed. I think America's a little obsessed with themselves, and it's like always feminism is rooted in America. And like, oh, white women started it, and it's kind of offensive because for thousands of years, women have been dying for their rights.
I think as a Black woman specifically, when you talk about feminism, yeah.
Why did you throw race into it? We're talking about feminism, and this is the second time you done said as a Black feminist, as a Black woman. We get it, you Black, we can see you Black. You don't have to let us know that.
Mainstream, first thing you think about is a certain type of feminism that tends to exclude still, even today, even with intersectional feminism, exclude African-American women, and it's always kind of done that, and also upper middle class white women has predominantly been the face of what we quote unquote consider feminism.
I think feminism is attempting to say, okay, the first thing we agree on is that there are barriers and friction to what I need and what I want based on the fact that I'm a woman. What it ignores is that, and what privilege is that you may not have to think that being a woman and being a Black woman and being a Black woman who has a disability, for example, impacts you further. You have more barriers, you have more friction, you are less able to get what you want. You're undervalued in a way that's like, okay, well, you know, that's life. That's what I mean by equity, and that we're able to, without friction, all get the same needs met.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, see, I disagree with that. I think life is easier if you're a girl.
It is. It's so much easier as a woman. I don't know. What are y'all being oppressed from? It's so crazy. It's so crazy. We have the choice. We have the choice. I understand inflation and prices didn't change nowadays, right? But at the end of the day, when all these women want to be boss women and be like, I do it on my own, y'all still want the man to play the traditional role and all that, where you still want the guy to pay for everything. His money is our money, and my money is my money. That's the mindset, right? That's what most women think. It's so much easier for a woman. Why do you think, if you the type of person to go clubbing, why do you think we get in for free and dudes gotta pay? Have you ever paid to go into a club as a woman? When you get to the bar, how many times have you gotten free drinks versus a man getting free drinks? Men ain't getting free drinks at the bar. What are you talking about? Jobs. How many women willingly will go do these crazy hard jobs that men do? Let me know. Let me know in the comment section, because I know you're not. I know you're not. Ain't no way. You wouldn't take a job working in the sewer willingly. Some women will. You have that small minority of women that'd be like, I'll do the job that the guy's doing, because I did that when I worked. But most women are not doing that. I promise you. How many women you see working on the oil field? How many people you see women working in the coal mines and all that? That series, because they just brought it back, it's called Dirty Jobs. How many jobs on there have you seen where he went to go link up with the dirtiest jobs in America? How many women was actually doing them jobs? None. It was very minimal. Mostly men was doing them jobs. Women aren't doing that. Come on, we have it on easy mode. Even down to the point where the man's supposed to provide and take care of the household. How many of us get to just stay home and be housewives and house girlfriends? How many of us literally get to do that on a day-to-day basis while the man is out working and we just get to be home and chill? Bruh, we have it way easier.
Actually, I think there's a lot of benefits that men don't have.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to speak anything to race. I'm just talking about gender specifically. It's usually like an excuse. Like honestly, I think as a girl you have equal opportunity in the world. I think there's benefits, like for example, we have quotas for women in specific jobs that are given to us that aren't given to men. So yeah, I would say it's easier being a girl.
Just from a viewpoint over here, though, it seems there's a lot of pretty privilege in what you're saying, and that you're white and you present.
Do you think I'm pretty?
Did she just say pretty privilege and you're white? It's like you're also white. Stop bringing race into this. Race has nothing to do with this. Even like, I don't care how you want to view a woman on the scale. A woman out there is cute to somebody. Okay? Yeah, we get it. You have your 10s, you have your 9s. Then you have, most women are mid. Let's just be honest. I'm in there too. And then you have the 1s to 4s or whatever. There's going to be a dude out there that'll take any of them. I promise you. I promise you. We have it so much easier. Okay? Just because we want to talk about how women should look and all that, you think there's not a 1 or 2 out there? Like getting D-downed by a guy today? He may not be like supermodel looking, but it's a dude. Come on, man.
Thank you.
I think that you present in a way that beauty standards have accepted. And so
they call me ugly on the internet all the time.
They really do. They call Pearl mid all the time, and I don't see what's wrong with being mid. You could be mid. Most women are mid. I don't see how that's an insult. I'm mid. Like, it is what it is.
Daily, I swear to God.
I don't mean to say I think you're gorge. I just mean that there a certain value that we give to certain bodies.
I mean, let's also dig into why these quotas exist and why these...
Chick, I understand you're in a wheelchair, right? And I get the legs are missing. You telling me there's a dude out there that don't want you? I'm pretty sure some dudes done hollered at you despite your appearance. Shut up. Just shut up.
What you're calling
because we want
exist.
special treatment.
No, but it's because there have historically and presently in most jobs been fewer women.
Sir, you are not a woman. Why are you here? Vice, why is he here? Why? Who invited him down? You a whole man. You're not gonna understand anything from a woman's perspective. Everything's gonna come from a man's perspective, playing dress up. But, what?
And because of sexism.
How is it sexism when we have no barriers today? So we can pick
Who has
what
no
we want to
barriers?
pick.
Who doesn't have barriers?
Women don't have barriers?
Women, yeah. What's
We have
stopping
no
you? You can do
barriers.
whatever you want.
You could do anything you want.
I can or you can?
What's stopping you?
What's stopping you?
As a woman.
As a
That face when she was like, you can do anything you want, or me. It's like, stop using your handicap as an issue, all right? I've literally seen men who also, like her, don't have the lower half of their body, and they be skateboarding, surfing. They can do whatever they want to do. I done seen them mountain climb. So to sit here and be like, you can do whatever you want, or me. You can literally do whatever you want. I understand you have your handicap and that makes it more difficult for you because you don't have the lower extremities of your body. There's literally men in your same condition that make it work. Stop. Just stop it. Just stop it. You were not playing victim mindset up in here.
As a woman.
That ignores a lot that I'm a woman with a disability. So there's a lot.
That don't change nothing.
Well, as I said before, I'm speaking about women.
You're speaking for yourself.
You're speaking as an able-bodied
woman.
I
Stop separating yourselves. It's different. It's different because you're able-bodied and it's different for you because you're white and I'm black. It's 2022. We all can literally do what we want here in America. Y'all gotta remember, this is in America. This debate happened in America. These are all Americans, except, well, hold on. This chick right here, I don't really know, because she sounds like she kind of just got here. Everybody else is American. Everybody else is American. You can literally do whatever you want here in America. I know housewives that not only do they get to be at home and be the housewife while the man handles everything, they done figured out their passions and what to do while they at home. Outside of Pearl, Allie Drummond did the same thing. She a housewife now. She about to have a kid. Yeah, she done figured out how to get it popping on YouTube. Ain't nothing stopping you. We can literally do whatever we want to make it here in America. Nothing is stopping us, especially you, disabilities included. Nothing is stopping you from doing what you need to do, considering there's men with the same disabilities doing whatever they want. Nothing is stopping you. This whole victim mindset. How many more minutes we got? This about to be 37 more minutes of woe is me. Stop saying I'm not a victim. I promise you that's what this is about to be.
Why?
Of course there's going to be other barriers if you're disabled, I'm sure. Like I'm talking about as a woman.
So you're just going to ignore
white
the
women
pay
have it
gap.
easier, yes. I would agree.
What?
You're just going to ignore the pay gap, regulation over...
The pay gap? Are you kidding me? There is no pay gap. There's no pay gap. We don't ran that into the mud so hard that now we are at a point where women are actually starting to out-earn men just because you had to shut the women up over this, right? And also, there was no pay gap to begin with. Most women don't want to do the jobs. See, I just said this in the beginning. A lot of the jobs here in America that men do, that you get paid crazy amounts for, most women don't want to do that. Where do most women usually end up? Nurses, hair, fashion, right? You might have a secretary job. You might work in an office and a desk, teacher, those type of roles, right? Retail, stuff like that. Them jobs don't pay a lot usually. Usually you not getting the bag when it comes to those jobs. How many women are going to be like, when I go to school, I want to go to school to learn how to code. I want to get into tech. I don't want to be the nurse. I want to be the doctor. Right? How many women getting into all of that? Learning how to do things of that nature. Trade jobs. How many women going to drive a semi? There's women that do, but it's not a lot. How many of y'all going to drive a semi truck? How many of y'all going to go on the oil field? How many of you going to go to Alaska and work out there for 3-4 months at a time and then come back home? How many of you, I remember this one guy I used to work with, he left because he got his maritime license to go work on a ship where you work like literally 5-6 months at a time and you have the rest of the year off. And he's starting off at 150. How many women are going to go and get that? Because most don't. Most don't. So come on. There's no pay gap. There's no pay gap. You just don't want to do the hard stuff that got the money attached to it.
The pay gap has been disproven and debunked
pay gap doesn't
endlessly,
exist.
my friend.
Thank you, Pearl.
It's the industries that women pick.
Let's talk about
I
it.
just said that.
But it's because women don't want to do the hardest industries.
Thank you.
I don't think it's that simple. I think that's an oversimplification. I think the fact of the matter is that women structure their lives differently to men. Men don't give birth. Men don't have to carry pregnancies. Men don't have to be the primary caregiver most of the time. Women also don't hold jobs for as long as men do. They often will stop and start. They'll go back into work. They'll take time off. They'll take part-time jobs. The way that men work and women work are astronomically different. And to try to say that they're comparable is where this issue comes from. They're not comparable.
Two things. First of all, let's dig into why they think that they should take these jobs, which is societal sexism. And then also,
No, you can do any of these jobs. You can do any of them. Any of these jobs, you can get hired and do it as long as you can keep up and go with it. Most women, look, I remember one job I had, it was at a warehouse, and it was literally unloading trucks and loading trucks, right? But when you unloaded them, they put them into 2 separate groups, right? You had the trucks where everything was 1 pound or less with those boxes. Then you had the other truck where everything was heavy. Everything was about 50 pounds up. And you supposed to was working in teams in those trucks. A lot of people didn't want to do those trucks, the weak men included that I worked with. I used to do a lot of them trucks by myself, okay? And I used to just be busting them out, throwing stuff out the truck onto the little conveyor belt thing. They used to take it to the rest of the warehouse. Most women didn't want to do that. I remember one day they paired me with somebody. I walked to that truck. That girl was like, "Excuse me? Well, why are you walking up in there? They got a truck right down here with the 1 pound." I was like, "Well, you can go down there if you want to. You don't have to stay with me." And she was like, "But we supposed to stay in pairs." And I was like, "They say that, but every time they pair me with somebody, they leave me anyways because I go to these trucks." And she was like, yeah, you tripping. One day a girl tried to like rock with me. She was like, yeah, I guess I do this. This shouldn't be too bad if you're doing it. Yeah, she was out after like 10, 15 minutes. She was like, I don't know how you do this. I'm going down to a different truck. They can't do that. Mind you, there's jobs, way harder jobs than that. Women don't want to do that. They're not doing anything else harder. Nothing's stopping you from doing it, though. You could easily go do these jobs and get the bag while you're doing it. Because I made good money when I worked at that place. It ain't, come on now.
I mean, Department of Labor, all statistics, at least speaking in the U.S., have found that when compared for the same jobs, there still is a pay gap, particularly when it pertains to race.
Because 60% of women have never asked for a raise. So how can you complain about your pay if you don't ask for it?
Literally. The last job I ever held, you want to know how I got into management? I asked, how do I get into management? That was it. That was literally it. And they was like, oh, you interested in running such and such department? Let's start getting you trained and worked on so you can start running it. All I did was ask. And I was a good worker. You know how many good workers, men and women, never moved up and had the nerve to complain when I had my last ever job? And then they'd be like, oh, this is sexist, this is right. They said all the stupid stuff that some of these people are saying. And it's like, did you ever just ask? It's like, hey, how do I go somewhere else? Because every person I worked with that was good and was like, I'm ready to move on. And I was like, just ask such and such how to move on or what direction you trying to move into. You know, all those people that stayed in that company and moved on like I did because they asked, men and women included, they literally just asked and they got moved on. I know one dude, his whole thing was like, I'm trying to get a managerial spot. It would have been like 2 or 3 spots ahead of where we were at as managers. He was like, I'm trying to get the spot in Colorado. He got the spot in Colorado. They paid for him to go out there and everything. Because he asked. And they were just like, oh, let's get you on the path of going there and get you trained and blah, blah, blah. The people that didn't ask were the ones that stayed at the bottom and they was mad. They was like, it's not fair. I don't ever get to move up. I don't get to do anything. Ask. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. Okay? If you've never heard that before, put it in your memory banks right now. Okay? That's the only way you're going to survive. If you hungry, say you hungry. And you'll be able to eat. That's all that is.
Wait, what happens when women ask for a raise?
Sorry, I've been wanting to say something, but I want to be respectful. I don't want to interrupt people, and I want to let them finish their thoughts.
Jump in,
but you know,
go through the wall.
It is a very privileged label, right, to be able to say that you're feminist, right? And I say that because I come from a working class background of Dominican immigrant parents. My mother would not necessarily identify as a feminist. I look to my mother, and I do think of her as a feminist. A lot of my ideas and my empowerment comes from seeing her like survive and put food on the table. When I'm thinking about feminism, I'm always thinking about who's not part of the conversation. What are the barriers? How do we think about equity? How do we think about self-empowerment and agency and having a voice, right? And having choice, and thinking about our basic human rights, education, access to health, homes, like having bread, having food, and those things are very important, right? And they're at the crux, right, of what a lot of us here know that we need. It's like there are the barriers, right, that we constantly ignore that are very much systemic and microaggressive, right? We see them and experience them every day.
Like what in the U.S.?
So,
like what?
What would you like to know an example of?
I know you.
You the one bringing it up. What you mean? So if she said like what? Well, what do you want to know as an example? What do you mean? Give the example. She shouldn't have to ask. You the one talking about it.
You said that there's like barriers. I want to know what barriers in the U.S. today as a woman.
Yeah.
Well, as a woman or as a woman of color, let's be.
Why? Not only is it about gender, it's like there's all these barriers for women. So what are they? What do you want to know? What do you want to know? What are the barriers? You just said there's barriers. What are the barriers? Well, as a woman or a woman of color. Shut up. Just shut. You don't even know what you're talking about. You just talking to be talking. Stupid.
Be specific.
As a woman, I said
and we
as
don't,
a woman.
Well, no, I can't answer as a woman.
I
I'm just
feel
not
like your
a woman,
question is
right?
You can't answer as aren't you a woman? There's no difference between being a woman and a woman of color. You're still a woman. Answer the question. So you can't, and you just out here talking. and you got nothing to back it up. And now you're just like, see, I can't answer that because I'm not a woman. I'm a woman of color. It's like they keep moving the line. Like when they can't answer, it just keeps stupid.
It's kind of hostile when you're like, there are no barriers to what I want. Congratulations. That means you have a privilege where you're not facing any friction, and that's showing. And I feel
privilege?
like
You're in America. We all good. Why do you think people come here? Because they know what can be achieved here versus where they're coming from. Like, don't get me wrong, America not perfect. That's why that little thing up there, hold on, I gotta switch it. That's why that little thing up here says conservative and Christian. Because we not perfect as a country, but we better than most. Why? That's why people come over here. You keep, especially the colored women, these two, they keep wanting to make everything about color, right? If everything is about color, and it's so funny because if you bring this up to them, they get so mad. You have literal black people that come over here from other countries. So we just gonna use, if black people come from Jamaica or Africa, right? Since it's such a colorism problem because you get messed with when you're like it's harder for you when you're black, right? How come they come over here and they succeed? They don't let nothing stop them. Not only do they succeed, they either build a new life here with their family or they send their money back home for the family that's still back there. Whatever it is they do, they figure out how to make it work. Nothing stops them. Why are the black people over here just so like, oh, it's the white man's fault and privilege and all this? No, every other color comes over here and they make it work. So it can't be about color. Stop being a victim. That's all this is.
I think as an American, you're very privileged.
I'm not ignoring that.
Or like a basic level.
That's crazy.
I mean, the feminist movement is when it comes to just being born a woman, right? Physically, pound for pound, we are born as women and we have less lean muscle mass than men. So there are issues of violence and assault and stuff like that. And so therefore, there are policies, there are things to help women physically, like, for example, I believe.
Is that a bullet earring? Somebody who loves guns, that's actually kind of cool. She as a person is whole victim, but the earring is kind of cool.
Being able to carry a firearm and being able to use that safely to defend yourself against men who are born naturally with more muscle mass than a woman.
I keep hearing the term equity. What would a world that has equity look like? Like, would it be 50% of everyone in the same jobs? Would it be like prison, 50%?
That's equality.
50%. So what does equity look like?
So equity is generally described as a state of fairness because historically a lot of people have been arguing for equality, but what does that give us? Like 0.5 of the 1% being woman. This doesn't really do anything for us. And so people have talked about equity instead, which is instead of sameness, it's fairness. And this would mean that we remove systemic barriers to engage in society, not just for women, but also for everyone.
So which barriers?
Those barriers that you don't believe in.
What do you mean the barriers you don't believe in? The barriers that none of you can explain that we are going through as women. What are the barriers? First off, that sounded stupid. You know, it's not about equality, it's about equity and like fairness. So equality, it's all right, because this is getting a little long. We're gonna end it right here. This is gonna be part one. And we'll come back for part two. I'm gonna keep being triggered. I'm just gonna keep being triggered. So I'll see you guys in a little bit.